Guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the latest Q&A to come out. It came out 6 days ago, so I'm a little late to the party on this one. Sorry, I've been super busy. And to talk about what I've been doing, some Antorus stuff, and anything else in between. But getting started off with the Q&A, if you haven't watched it or if you just want a breakdown of it, there was a little talk about Classic at the start. Now, pretty much the talk about Classic was that there would be no information on Classic. Basically, Classic is a long way away. They are devoting a whole team to it. It's not going to take anything away from the retail moving World of Warcraft. However, you know, Classic is going to take a lot of time to rebuild. And then it's about what time setting Classic actually takes place in. Ian mentioned that they understand that the Classic community's favorite flavor of ice cream is vanilla, and that means vanilla. It means pure vanilla. But as to what version of that is, they don't really know yet. Is it 2005? Is it 2006? There will be no BattleNet integration into Classic WoW. It will be that Classic pure sense, but the community is probably going to play a large part in determining when that Classic format actually takes place, in what setting. So that was all there was about Classic, guys. And on the forums, there is still a really large war raging for and against Classic. I made my views pretty clear in my Blizzard breakdown video. And look, I still don't know if I'll play it or not. I've had a lot of people hitting me up saying, they'll come back and play it. And I may very well end up going and playing an Arms Warrior just to wreck people. I just don't know. We'll wait and see what happens when it comes out. In regards to the main bulk of the Q&A, which was focused around Battle for Azeroth, we're going to get into that now. So the latest thing you may have seen on forums around Battle for Azeroth is the removal of tier gear, so to speak. So this is huge. Now, if you're not aware, we're going to get an amulet called the Heart of Azeroth, which is a neck slot, which is basically like an artifact, but in your neck slot instead of a weapon slot. This is going to sync up with 3 bits of armor called Azerite armor. At the moment, it appears to be helm, shoulders, and chest, I think it was. I think that's what it was. But they're going to be tied into the amulet, and they're going to have certain customized procs and functions, much like tier gear. Now, the thing with this is it's not going to tie you into having certain slots, because that Azerite armor is always going to interact with the amulet, which means that you're not tied into the tier legs and cloak, or the tier legs and chest, and things like that. So they think that's going to bring a lot more customization to it, and it's going to be a lot easier to obtain those set bonuses rather than having to farm the same boss over and over and hoping that you either bonus roll or get your legs each week. So it's going to be easier, so there's certainly that bonus side of it. You're not getting locked into slots, which is also a huge bonus, as we can see in Legion right now with legendaries and tier bonuses for either 2-piece or 4-piece, or if you're running a 2-piece and 4-piece from the last current set to the new one, you really get slot locked. One of the issues that came up with this that a lot of people were saying was, well, what makes raiding special now if you're opening this kind of system up, which anyone can obtain? The simple answer to this is that Azerite armor, from what I understand from BlizzCon at the moment, can't actually warforge. So the raid versions of the helm, shoulders and chest, I think they're the pieces that interact with the amulet, they can't warforge. So the raid versions of them are always going to be stronger. I don't know if the Mythic Plus cache system is going to work the same way with that. What Ian did say, though, is that the certain raid traits and abilities that you can customize on the Azerite armor are going to be stronger, and some of them can only be obtained from raiding. So there is still going to be that gateway lock on the raiding armor being more exclusive, better traits, better procs, better functions. So I think it still sort of saves raiding, but I think it does add a lot of content and hope and power level, I suppose, to those that aren't doing as much raiding and doing more Mythic Plus and things like that. So there's still going to be trinkets in raids and certain traits and things like that that make raiding the better option and more exclusive in regards to that gear level and power. Around the art side of things, Ian spoke about the design for the new armor in Battle of Azeroth. They want the armor to have a real connection to the content and the zone that we're doing. And I think they actually did that pretty well in Mists of Pandaria when I think back to the armor that we were kind of getting as we went through that. This is going to be an interesting change though. They're kind of going away from that redesign of class fantasy over and over and over and really want to tie it to the zone. And that's going to mean that we get a bunch of high detailed armor that would normally be saved for tier gear and things like that, that's going to have a connection to that zone, and it's just going to give us more transmog options. Ian made mention of, you know, the redoing of class fantasy, like what would an old god paladin even set even look like. So there's a lot of buzz going around Battle for Azeroth when it was sort of set up as this is a PvP expansion set in a PvP environment. But that little nugget, I wonder if that's a tease, because a lot of people have been saying that Battle for Azeroth is going to end up finishing with old gods. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But in short, we're going to get a hell of a lot of new, cool looking armor that's going to give us more and more transmog options, which cannot be a bad thing. Now quickly on to patch 7.3.5, this is going to hit PTR very shortly. We're going to see the new level scaling in effect. We're going to get a preview of the new Silithus battleground coming in Battle for Azeroth. The Antorus story is going to continue to develop, and Ulduar time walking is coming in. Now, I had zero issues with Black Temple time walking. I made a group of friends. We got a couple of pugs in. We went through it. There were no wipes. It was really quickly. I think there was no wipes. There may have been one. I don't remember. But either way, it was really painless. The largest scale of the community had a shit old time in the Black Temple time walking experience. So hopefully Blizzard have really worked to fix the Ulduar experience in regards to lockout and progressing if you don't make it all the way through the raid, being able to jump in another one and not start at Flame Leviathan. So that is going to be really interesting. Now, when the leveling scaling comes in, there aren't any plans at the moment to make old zones relevant to current content sort of thing. So it's only going to apply for leveling and not sort of going backwards in that. But in the future, who knows? On to allied races now, which was obviously going to be a prominent question through Q&A, how they work, what reps we need to unlock them and things like that. There wasn't a hell of a lot of information provided, but what we did get was for the Nightfallen, you are going to require an exalted reputation standing to unlock the Nightfallen. The thing when this comes in Battle for Azeroth is all the rep barriers will be removed from storylines. So if you don't have that rep, you'll be able to go through, just play straight through the story straight away. You won't be locked behind anything. Playing through the story will get you exalted, and then you will be able to unlock the allied race. So it's going to be more story driven apparently rather than less grind driven, you know, that feel of grinding out rep. It's going to feel much more story driven. So we'll have to wait and see what that happens. Heritage armor was raised in regards to allied races. So if you don't know, an allied race starts at level 20. If you level from level 20 to 110, you will unlock a set of heritage armor that is exclusive to that allied race. So someone raised the question, if I changed my main at 110 to a Void Elf, I then went and made an allied Void Elf, an allied race Void Elf, started at level 20, level to 110, I unlock that armor, can I then transmog that armor on the race change one I did at level 110? The answer is yes. Heritage armor is going to be account wide, same as all transmog, but it is going to be locked to those allied races, if that makes sense. There may very well be more races coming in the future. The team continues to look at this. With DKs and DHs being hero classes and starting at that higher level, the main focus on allied races is to start at level 20. So at the moment, there is nothing fitting DKs and Demon Hunters. In the future though, the team will continue to look at giving those classes options. It just has to make sense. To honor and prestige, guys, so we are still at the moment looking to see honor and prestige system in Battle for Azeroth. The question was raised about will we still need to grind out honor talents. They're not going to add any more prestige levels into Battle for Azeroth and expect players to grind through them all. The team is still looking at how honor talents worked out and generally didn't mind the feel of them. Ian said they still wanted the rewards from prestige to be available to those people down the track. I don't obviously know how that ties into skin variants and the artifact weapons, as they will be long gone, or if they're still going to be something that you can unlock from a transmog purpose as we go on. I really don't know, and that question wasn't raised. Questions were raised around the artifact weapons. The current plans is for artifacts to be restricted in regards to transmog to spec specific only. So if you're a resto shaman and you like the mace, or sorry, if you're an elemental shaman and you like the resto mace, it's kind of bad luck. That is going to be locked to restoration specs only, and same for every spec specific class that you've got. Your artifact weapon is going to be locked to that spec. So you're not going to be able to transmog a mace for a mace or a staff for a staff, so to speak, which is a little bit of a bummer. But, you know, they sort of spoke about those weapons having such an iconic status. They're really tied to those specs, so I get that as well. The artifact appearances, as I said though, will be account wide. So if you've got a hunter right now and you start a Void Elf hunter or something like that, you will be able to mog your artifact on that one. Around legendary items, currently for Battle for Azeroth, and this may make a lot of people happy, there are no legendary items planned as of right now for Battle for Azeroth. If there are legendary items, they will be far rarer than what we've seen in Legion. They will be special and unique, but at the moment, no plans for legendaries moving into Battle for Azeroth. Around Mythic raiding, and this is always a topic about roster changes, roster sizes, flexibility, cross-realm. There was a request for 10-man Mythic raiding to come back. It's not going to happen. Managing the roster is one of the difficult components that comes with Mythic raiding, and they understand that. But making Mythic raiding flex size would be an absolute nightmare and make it incompatible with cutting-edge tuning, and that's really what Mythic raiding is all about. Mythic is locked at 20-man. It's hard enough to tune for that as it is, and it would just be a nightmare for Blizzard, basically, Iron said. There are reasons why titles, cosmetic rewards, power rewards, and that need to be strongly represented in Mythic raiding, and that's because that 20-man roster is such a nightmare. 20-man does feel like a good balance, they've said, though. Read class composition, complexity, and coordination they can offer through the fights for 20 people. They would like to open up cross-server Mythic raiding sooner. They want to protect realm firsts and server firsts. Whether they're the same thing, nice one. But they would like to be able to open up cross-realm server Mythic raiding to alleviate roster burdens a little sooner than they have been. Ian stated that Tomb of Sargeras was probably too hard on Mythic difficulty, so we'll probably see maybe hopefully tighter and more accomplishable tuning in Antorus and Battle for Azeroth. They really want to look at that. They want to improve on having too many binary checks and pass-fail mechanics in a fight. It feels better if mistakes are sort of punished as you go through the fight and there's only a certain number you can make, rather than that one person screwing up at, say, the 5-minute mark into a 10-minute encounter and it screws your whole raid. Questions were asked around Amanthal's Vision, which is the super legendary Arcano crystal trinket pretty much. Basically, they want to leave it a mystery. Ian said it'd be cool if things weren't data mined ahead of time. You know, you don't need to know everything, and this isn't something that you absolutely need to know either. So you will find out how this drops when Antorus launches, and you finally get it, which is fine. There's no issues around that. Mythic Plus, guys, so when Mythic Antorus opens up, which will be the 5th of December area, that is when we will see the bump to Mythic Plus cache loot and Mythic Plus loot. So when the Antorus raid opens on the first week, you want to do a 15 on that because your cache will be retro for that. So on the 5th of December, when Mythic Antorus opens up, if you've done a 15 the week before, you will get that higher item level loot when that scale comes in. So keep that in mind. First week Antorus comes out, make sure you do a 15 plus because the cache will upgrade when that increase goes through. Item upgrades and Titan Forging moving into Battle for Azeroth. Warforging and Titan Forging will continue through to Battle for Azeroth, but it will be a lot less often. They did look at putting a hard cap on Titan Forging, however, it would just be too restrictive, and that's not something they're looking at doing. When they look at the numbers, generally Mythic Raiders are always higher than Heroic Raiders. It would be very unlikely to find a Heroic Raider that has been so lucky with Titan Forges that they are above a consistent Mythic raiding person. So they're not interested in sort of doing away with that. They do want to discourage having to, or feeling the need to run normal and heroic over and over and chasing these Titan Forge drops, but they still will be there. They will just be a lot less common than we see now. A question was asked around World PvP, pretty much saying, why are you killing World PvP in Battle for Azeroth, which is an expansion based around PvP? Ian pretty much answered that the team isn't killing World PvP. The thing with World PvP and the option to opt in and out is that it gives the team the ability to create specific World PvP content that players can go to and opt in, and they can actually design content designed exactly for that purpose, which they haven't been able to do before. So this may very well be a huge positive. There aren't specific plans at the moment to encourage the raiding of capital cities and things like that, but this expansion would fit the build for that, and there may be future things added into the story. At the moment not, but there is real plans to revamp World PvP, and the option to have that opt-in option for it, means that they can create RP servers, PvP servers, and PvE servers, all have the same option to opt in for content designed specifically for World PvP. Class changes, we're not going to see a hell of a lot, obviously, towards the end of Legion, but moving into Battle for Azeroth, when the beta ramps up, we're going to see a lot of these changes start to come in. So they're going to be fewer changes than we saw in Legion. Legion was probably the largest set of class changes ever in redevelopment. They spoke about demonology, Warlock being probably a failed experiment. It was a cool idea, this Master of Demon fantasy, but the execution just wasn't right in regards to the amount of ramp up time there was and maintenance. So there'll be probably large overhauls to demonology and survival hunters to get that right in Battle for Azeroth. In terms of our artifacts going and things like that, there's going to be a lot of replacement around dead talents or binary uninteresting choices, such as the AoE versus single target options. And again, the amulet and the new tier system with the Azerite armor is going to probably play a large role in this. There's going to be filling gaps, so when the artifact weapon leaves us, some of those artifact weapon abilities and traits will become baseline. Some of them will become talents. They're looking at how to fit that right now and what ones they get rid of. Class-specific utility is something that Blizzard really likes at, and we see that return with the raid buffs in Battle for Azeroth. That sort of really shows that. So again, they're going to look to expand on that and what different classes can bring. Mobile Trank is probably going. That was an example that was used. It's not an official statement, but it was something that they probably will look at removing. So there's going to be quite a few changes coming into that. Hunters, in regards to Hattie, Iron said that Hattie is very closely linked to Titan Strike, and it's unlikely to be carried forward. It would be really odd for someone to come in new to Battle for Azeroth and have to go back to Legion to do that. However, there is something really cool about having multiple pets as a Beastmaster hunter, and that's something they could expand on, but they just don't really know yet. In regards to our artifact weapons and now going into Battle for Azeroth and needing to get weapon drops, a lot of people saw relics as the replacement for weapon drops, but a lot less exciting in Legion. What were the plans for Battle for Azeroth? Well, the plan is to obviously go back to weapon drops. However, compared to the old days where there was maybe only 2 chances to get a weapon in a raid or something like that, there are a lot more loot sources now to get and obtain a weapon. So Ian pretty much said it's not going to be as hard as it used to be to obtain a weapon, so that's certainly a positive. In regards to your Underlight Angler or you fishers out there, you will get to carry your artifact fishing rod through. There's no plans to really remove that. Character slots, you'll obviously get your extra character slots on your account, on your realm when the new allied races come in. There is no increase plans at the moment in regards to account wide at the moment, other than the 50 characters I think it was. And I don't know anyone that's actually playing 50 full characters, so I don't know if there's an actual real need for that. So that was pretty much the sum up of the Q&A for the bits that I really liked and found interesting, guys. It was a really good Q&A if you do have an hour to go and have a listen to it. There's a lot of exciting things coming up in Battle for Azeroth, and it is going to be really interesting. So just to tack on to the end of this video, as I've had a bunch of questions about it, is because I've been uploading sort of higher level mythic keys lately. What am I doing on my Brewmaster and not my DK? So the answer is I've just been a little bit bored on the Blood DK at the moment. I still really like the class. I've just been a little bored on it, and Monk, which was really interesting because I hated my Monk when Legion came out. I hated the changes. And I went back to playing it a couple of months ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's a really interactive tank spec to actually play, and it's just really fun, and it's really underrated and really solid in Mythic Pluses. So that's what I've been doing on the Brewmaster, guys. Going into Antorus, Monk is still positioned really strongly. DK is still positioned really strongly, and I honestly, at the moment, don't know which I'll play. I will probably go back to the Blood Death Knight. Blood Death Knight is probably, without question, a stronger Mythic Plus tank in majority of applications than a Brewmaster, but Brewmaster is really, really strong. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Their ability to smooth out damage, large pulls that they can come out and survive that DKs can't. Ring of Peace has a lot of great applications. Their damage versus sacrifice for survivability isn't as bad as a Blood Death Knight. So they're a really strong tank, and they will be really strong going into Antorus. The Antorus tier gear, the set bonuses, is going to be really, really strong in Mythic Plus for Brewmasters. So I don't know what I will end up doing, but that is the question to that as to what I've been doing on the Brewmaster Monk. I'm just enjoying taking a break from Blood DK, and I'm enjoying doing those higher level keys at the moment on the Brewmaster Monk. Moving to Antorus now, just to finish this up. Sorry, I know I've been going for a while. I'm going to do the same thing I did for Tomb of Sargeras. I'm going to have the tank cheat sheet guide. It's going to be in the description. I've started doing the Antorus side of it now, so it's just going to be a quick reference guide for you as a tank as to what you have to do in the fight. It is not a raid description. It is just for tanking purposes as a little cheat sheet. And guys, may I say as well, if you are looking for the opportunity to tank, Antorus coming out is again another fantastic opportunity for you. If you haven't tanked before, everybody is learning when Antorus comes out, and that means that you can learn too. So I encourage you 100% when Antorus comes out, if you want to tank, if you've always wanted to have a go, get in and have a go in the first couple of weeks, because no one knows what they're doing. If you make mistakes, it is not a big deal. It is far better off getting there and learning straight off the bat than waiting till you've seen the encounters and people will expect you to know it. So that is it. Any help I can give you with that, of course, hit me up. Otherwise, thanks very much for checking out the video, guys. Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. Always love having a discussion with you. Thanks very much for checking out the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. See you guys.